America, they're lying to you, and the proof is in that one yellow cup. That's right, Fox. Propaganda, Mike Johnson, the entire right-wing propaganda machine shut down the government over this one plastic cup. Not a program, not a national crisis, a cup. Because when you can't lead, you distract. This entire pyramid right here on the bottom is the entire Medicaid budget. And the yellow cup at the bottom is the only time, potentially, that an undocumented immigrant may get health care or care. And it's in an emergency. It's the mathematical equivalent of 0.004 of the budget. But Mike Johnson will make you think like it's the end of civilization. And that is not governing, that is gaslighting. Propaganda 101, you take a teaspoon of truth and you turn it into a tidal wave of fear. Straight out of the playbook of Karl Rove, but without the subtlety. And here's the kicker. We can never eliminate that yellow cup, ever. We can keep the government shut down forever. It's not a liberal giveaway giving undocumented immigrants health care. If someone's bleeding out in the ER, you treat them, period. It's not policy, it's humanity. And apparently, compassion doesn't play well over at Fox because they want you to think that they're giving free health care to undocumented immigrants. But now let's take a look at the top pyramid. That shows you the $100 billion paid in by undocumented immigrants annually. Props up Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and so on. Benefits that they will never use because they don't qualify for. It's the entire state of Ohio, what they pay into the system. Can you imagine telling everyone in Ohio, sorry, you're not invited to the party? Even if I took away this little yellow cup and what it cost, those orange cups, I still have $97 billion of net positive money coming into the U.S. Treasury. So this is not a budget problem. We're making more money. It's not a problem with the law. They shut down the government to distract you. They shut the government down over this not because they care about spending, but because they need you looking at that cup. They don't want you looking at the scoreboard. They don't want you talking about the Epstein files, sluggish job growth, shrinking GDP, and the widening trade deficit that the tariffs were supposed to fix, but it went in the opposite direction. This is not budgeting. It's a magic trick of politics. Don't look over here, look over here. Mike Johnson and his propaganda friends over at Fox are basically saying, hey, if I can scare you with this yellow cup, maybe you won't notice that I don't have any solutions or a plan. The next time that you see this on Fox, recognize that this is propaganda. We cannot keep falling for this over and over again, America.
Okay, so that creator, Sully Dog, is new for me. I stumbled upon his account on Instagram. His videos are fantastic. He clearly illustrates statistics with his little stacks of cups. Absolutely right. So undocumented immigrants pay in with their taxes to fund Medicaid, and they are not able to access those services, right? It has never, ever, ever been the case in the United States that undocumented immigrants can get Medicaid. That one cup that he's referring to at the bottom, right? So under federal law, if somebody shows up at the emergency room and they are, actively dying, they need emergency life-saving treatment, it is illegal to turn them away. Hospital has to stabilize that person, right? They can't have somebody show up and be like, oh, you can't pay, you don't have health coverage, well, we're just going to let you die. Now, Stephen Miller has said that he's not objecting to that idea. If you want to understand how much of an actual literal ghoul Stephen Miller is, if somebody shows up to the hospital, a gunshot victim, someone who's been in a car accident, somebody who is has given birth to a child and is bleeding out, Stephen Miller thinks if they're undocumented, they should possibly be denied treatment. Like he wouldn't have any problem with those folks dying. Just tells you where his moral compass is versus, decent human beings. Under that circumstance, this is a very small amount of Medicaid dollars, far less than 1%, goes to reimbursing hospitals for that care that they must, under federal law, give when someone shows up, and they have to stabilize them so that they do not die. And guess what? The taxes of undocumented immigrants in this country more than fully funds that tiny sliver of the Medicaid budget. In fact, undocumented immigrants are paying for the Medicaid of a pretty good chunk of Americans. It's a system they must pay into and cannot participate in or withdraw from. So Republicans are lying to you. They're outright lying to you. Democrats have not shut down the government. Republicans who control the government have failed to keep it functioning. They are responsible for the shutdown. They are in charge. Their big betrayal bill that they pushed through because Daddy Donald wanted them to, even though they knew it would be devastating for their constituents. Even though the Senate Finance Committee came out and said, if you pass these Medicaid cuts, if you pass these Affordable Care Act cuts, if you allow hundreds of hospitals around the country to be closed so that billionaires can get a giant tax break, about 51,000 Americans will be dying every single year as a direct result of you passing this bill. And Republicans went ahead and passed it anyway. So Democrats, using their one leverage point, which is around the 60 votes to fund the continuing resolution, said, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. We have to do right by our constituents. We cannot continue to fund a government that is going to actively kill 51,000 Americans by taking away their health care and closing hospitals around the country. That's the reality of the situation. By the way, in Trump's America, under the Republicans' plan, it's not just folks who are on Medicaid who are in big trouble. It's also those of us who pay for health insurance, who have health premiums, that maybe we're like kind of shouldering them okay right now. Under the Republicans' plan, our for-profit healthcare system in the United States, where we are watching healthcare corporations rake in record profits. This crow is also outraged about healthcare in the United States. Anyway, we are going to watch healthcare become absolutely, completely unaffordable for a significant portion of Americans. This is a looming healthcare crisis that is entirely on the shoulders of the Republicans, and I think most Americans are completely unprepared for it.
Imagine an older couple out there who's making $85,000 a year. That's not that's not billionaires or anything like that, but that's a higher earner in this case. Here's their current premium, $7,225 per year. That's 8.5% of their income. That's sort of the top end under the current rules. Under the change, if it expires, that will jump to $25,000 per year. That's almost a 30% increase. That's almost 30% of their income, not an income, 30% of their income for the year. That's a tough thing if you're making $85,000 a year.
Do you have $30,000 a year just for your health insurance premiums? I'm sure people in other countries that have universal health care are looking at that $8,000 that most of us are already paying, and they're flabbergasted. Nobody in this country except the super rich can potentially think of paying $30,000 a year just for your premiums. That doesn't include your out-of-pocket expenses, your deductible, your co-pays, etc., etc. This is what Republicans are doing to us in the United States of America in 2025. They're squeezing every drop they can out of the working class. They are making life for us completely untenable. Meanwhile, CEOs, corporations raking in record profits. Imagine 2026, 2027, when hundreds of hospitals around the country have closed. You are now paying 30% of your income just for your health insurance premiums. RFK Jr. has said you can no longer get cancer screenings. We're going to do away with those in this country. He wants to make it difficult for us to get routine vaccinations and all kinds of routine care. We are going to watch our quality of life steadily decrease to a point where the suffering is something that I think we have not conceived of at all. Republicans are doing this because Donald Trump wants them to, so that billionaires can become richer and more powerful, so that we are weaker, sicker, easier to control. It does not have to be this way. We could fully fund universal health care for every American. We don't have to live like this, right? Trump's vision for this country is not one that we have to be living under. The awful things that the Republicans are trying to do to us is not something that we actually have to accept. How much more do you want them to take away from us? How much more expensive do you want life to get in this country? I know that Donald Trump is saying, you'll have to suffer a little bit. You have to struggle for a little bit, but in 2 weeks, around the bend, real soon, I'm going to make America great again. Real soon, you're going to be prosperous. How's that going to happen for us? How's that going to happen when you're paying 30% of your income for your health insurance premium? Your rent is going through the roof. Your grocery prices have gone up 38%. There are more people looking for work than there are jobs in this country. Where's that greatness? Who's getting great? Who's enjoying a higher quality of life? Oh, we know it's a couple hundred folks up here who have gotten obscenely rich in the last year, who are far more powerful, while all of the working class is suffering. That's Trump's vision for the future of America. We don't have to live like this. Just want to remind everybody, we do not have to live like this. We could dream of an America, we could build an America that works for working class people, where our needs are met. It doesn't have to be this insanely expensive. It doesn't have to be this ridiculously miserable to live in the United States of America, the wealthiest country on earth. Why is it that we are subsidizing the obscene, grotesque levels of wealth, luxury, opulence that the super rich are living with our taxes, our labor, with our suffering? It does not have to be this way. The Republicans do not care about working class people. They are lying to you. trying to get you to hate on, scapegoat undocumented folks so that you don't see what they're doing to you. They don't want you to see who's really fucking you over, who's really exploiting you, who's really harming you. It does not have to be this way.